Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something fundamental about life that too many people fail to realize. Until it's almost too late, you cannot reason with a narcissist. You cannot win their approval. You cannot love them into respecting you. And you certainly cannot outgive their hunger for power by being endlessly kind. You see, most of us grow up believing that human relationships are built on reciprocity. If I treat you with respect, you'll treat me with respect. That's how society functions. That's how meaningful families are built. That's how communities thrive. But when you encounter a narcissist, the rules are not the same. A narcissist doesn't care about reciprocity. They don't care about fairness. They care about control, dominance, and extracting energy from you to feed their fragile sense of superiority. And if you keep trying to play the game by your rules, kindness, patience, understanding, you will lose every time. And here's the tragedy. Many good, compassionate, intelligent people waste years of their lives trying to win the approval of someone who is psychologically incapable of giving it. They explain themselves endlessly, hoping for clarity. They bend their boundaries, hoping for peace. They suppress their needs, hoping that, if I'm nice enough, they'll finally respect me. But let me tell you the harsh truth. That moment never comes. Boundaries, the foundation of freedom. The first law of surviving and thriving in the presence of a narcissist is this: set boundaries that are non-negotiable. Not flexible, not conditional, non-negotiable. Boundaries are not about controlling the narcissist. You will never control them. They will always distort, project, manipulate, and twist reality to suit themselves. Boundaries are about controlling you, what you will tolerate, what you will accept, what you will allow in your life. Do not fall into the trap of endless explanations. Do not justify your decisions to someone who only wants ammunition to undermine you. As the philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you defend yourself against baseless accusations, you're reacting on their terms. You're playing their game. Stop playing. Stop chasing approval. Let me ask you something. How many of you have modified your behavior, subtly or drastically, just to avoid the disapproval of someone toxic? Maybe it's a boss who criticizes every effort. Maybe it's a partner who withholds affection unless you dance to their tune. Maybe it's even a parent whose approval you've chased your whole life. And every time you twist yourself into knots to gain a shred of acknowledgement, you reinforce their dominance. You're giving them power over your self-worth. I want you to burn this truth into your mind. Your worth is not measured by another person's recognition. Your worth is intrinsic. As Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." That's the shift. Stop waiting for them to change. Stop waiting for them to respect you. Stop waiting for them to apologize. It's not coming. The change must come from you. The game of narcissism. Now let's be practical. Narcissists have a playbook. They use gaslighting, rewriting history, denying obvious facts, making you question your sanity. They use projection, accusing you of the very things they're guilty of. They use intermittent reinforcement, alternating cruelty with affection to hook you like an addict chasing a high. You must recognize this. Clarity is your first weapon. Once you see the game, you stop playing. When you stop playing, their power dissolves. Let me illustrate with a story. A story of resistance, Lady Gaga. There was a moment early in Lady Gaga's career, before she became a global superstar, when she faced a situation that tested her boundaries. She had a manager who constantly belittled her ideas, dismissed her vision, and tried to control her artistic direction. He told her, "You'll never make it if you don't listen to me." You're nothing without my guidance. Now, many young artists would have bent under that weight, desperate for approval, desperate for a shot at fame. But Gaga, despite her youth, recognized the manipulation. She fired him. That decision nearly derailed her early opportunities. But it preserved something far more important: her self-respect. Later, she said in an interview, "I had to be willing to walk away from people who didn't believe in my vision. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be here." That's it. That's the power of boundaries. She didn't argue endlessly with him. She didn't try to explain until he saw her worth. She walked away. And in doing so, she kept her power. Emotional detachment, the art of gray rocking. Here's another practical strategy. It's called the gray rock method. Narcissists thrive on your reactions, whether anger, frustration, sadness, or even love. As long as you're reacting, they're winning. So what do? You become uninteresting. You become emotionally neutral. You don't rise to the bait. You don't defend yourself against ridiculous accusations. You respond with calm indifference. Believe what you want. This is not suppression. It's discipline. It's the ability to say, "I don't need your validation. I don't need to correct your lies. I don't need to prove my worth to you." When you reach that level of detachment, you become untouchable. The narcissist cannot control what they cannot provoke. The trap of closure. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: you will never get closure from a narcissist. That heartfelt apology you've been waiting for, that moment where they acknowledge their wrongdoing, it's not coming. And the more you chase it, the more ensnared you become. The only closure you'll ever get is the closure you give yourself. The decision to stop engaging, stop waiting, stop needing their recognition. As Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. From survival to growth. But let's move beyond survival, beyond defense. Because the goal here isn't just to escape the narcissist's influence, it's to build a life of power, resilience, and meaning. Your mind is your greatest weapon. Train it, discipline it, use it. Don't waste it trying to fix someone else's pathology. Use it to create, to achieve, to lead. This is where Tony Robbins' philosophy kicks in. It's not the events of your life that shape you, but your beliefs as to what those events mean. You can interpret your encounter with a narcissist as a life sentence of victimhood, or you can interpret it as the crucible that forged your strength. You can say, "They broke me," or you can say, "They taught me never to hand my power away again." Taking responsibility, becoming the hero. So here's the call to action. Take full responsibility for your life and your future. Stop waiting for someone else to change. Stop blaming circumstances. Stop hoping the narcissist will suddenly transform into the person you need them to be. As Jordan Peterson often emphasizes, pick up your cross and bear it. Take responsibility for your life. That doesn't mean tolerating abuse. It doesn't mean endless self-sacrifice. It means recognizing that your freedom, your dignity, and your growth are your responsibility, not theirs. Every time you set a boundary, you reclaim a piece of your life. Every time you detach from manipulation, you reclaim a piece of your peace. Every time you stop explaining yourself and simply live your truth, you reclaim your voice. Practical steps moving forward. Identify patterns, not promises. Stop listening to words. Watch actions. Patterns reveal the truth. Stop seeking approval. Refuse to contort yourself to avoid disapproval. Set clear boundaries. State them calmly. Enforce them consistently. Detach emotionally. Master the discipline of indifference. Let go of closure. Accept that it will never come from them. Give it to yourself. Reclaim validation. Redefine your worth by your own standards. Focus on growth. Build the life you want, not the illusion of fixing theirs. And this is where we transition into the second half of this speech, because surviving narcissism is only half the battle. The next half is about thriving despite them. It's about building strength, resilience, and unstoppable forward momentum. It's about becoming a hero in your own story. Let's step further. Escaping the toxic grip of a narcissist isn't just about survival. It's about transformation. It's about using the challenge as a springboard to build resilience, authenticity, and unstoppable momentum in your life. The experience is brutal, yes, but it's also a forge. And like all fire, it can either consume you or refine you. So the question is not just, how do I protect myself? The real question is, how do I use this adversity to become stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever before? From victimhood to victory. One of the greatest dangers of dealing with a narcissist is the creeping sense of helplessness. They wear you down. They manipulate your emotions. They leave you questioning your own reality. If you're not careful, you start to identify as a victim. But let me challenge you. You are not a victim. You are a survivor in training. Consider Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years under apartheid. He had every reason to see himself as a victim. Yet he once said, "I never lose. I either win or learn." That's the mindset shift. If you reframe your suffering as training, then every manipulation, every betrayal, every gaslighting attempt becomes a lesson that sharpens your clarity and strengthens your resolve. You cannot change the narcissist, but you can change yourself. You can rise above. The truth will set you free. When you're entangled with a narcissist, lies swirl around you. They lie about what they said. They lie about what you did. They lie about their intentions. And if you let it, the fog of deception will choke your clarity. But truth is the antidote. Speak it. Live it. Even when it causes conflict. Especially when it causes conflict. The psychologist Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And you cannot become who you are if you're constantly silencing yourself to keep the peace with someone who thrives on chaos." So speak. Speak your truth, calmly, firmly, without apology. Not to convince the narcissist. They will never be convinced. Speak for yourself. Speak so that your soul knows you refuse to be silenced. The discipline of self-worth. Now let's talk about self-esteem. Narcissists thrive on eroding it. They chip away at your confidence, your certainty, your sense of worth. Why? Because the lower your self-worth, the easier you are to control. So you must build your self-esteem like a fortress, not based on their validation, not based on anyone's approval, but rooted in discipline, integrity, and accomplishment. Do you know why exercise is so powerful beyond physical health? Because every time you push through resistance, you teach yourself, "I can do hard things." That lesson builds self-esteem. Every time you set a small goal and hit it, you reinforce your competence. Every time you refuse to betray your values, you harden your backbone. This is why Jordan Peterson tells his students, stand up straight with your shoulders back. It's not just about posture, it's about signaling to yourself and the world that you are not a victim. You are strong. You are capable. You are worthy. The power of purpose. One of the ways narcissists keep you trapped is by making their drama your focus. Your energy gets consumed in analyzing their moods, anticipating their reactions, tiptoeing around their anger. Before you know it, your life is orbiting their dysfunction. The CURE, purpose. When your vision for your life is bigger than their manipulation, you stop revolving around them. You put yourself at the center of your own story. Tony Robbins says, "People are not lazy. They simply have impotent goals." That is, goals that do not inspire them. Find goals that inspire you so deeply that you no longer have time for petty battles. Build something that demands your full attention. Write the book. Start the business. Train for the marathon. Create art. Serve others. Purpose is oxygen. Without it, you suffocate in the narcissist's toxicity. With it, you rise above. A success story. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Let me give you another example. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. We know him today as a global superstar. But early in his wrestling career, he faced manipulation from promoters who tried to control his image, silence his ideas, and push him into roles he didn't believe in. He was told, "Smile more, play the nice guy, don't make waves." For a while he tried to please them. It didn't work. Audiences didn't connect. He was miserable. Finally, he drew a line. He rebranded himself as The Rock, loud, authentic, unapologetically himself. It was a risk. It upset the people trying to control him. But it worked. Fans loved it. His career skyrocketed. Later, he said, "The single most powerful thing I did was to be myself." That's what happens when you stop playing by someone else's script. When you stop chasing approval and start owning your truth, you set yourself free. Mental warfare. Training your mind. Let's be honest. Narcissists are masters of psychological warfare. If you're not mentally strong, you'll be devoured. That's why your mind must become your sharpest weapon. Here are practical strategies to train it. Journaling. Write down what actually happened, not what they claimed happened. This preserves reality against gaslighting. Meditation. Build calmness so you're not easily provoked. Affirmations. Not cheesy slogans, real reminders of your values, your worth, your commitments. Feed your mind with books, mentors, courses. Every new skill increases your confidence and independence. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The hero's journey. Look, this isn't just about escaping one toxic person. This is about becoming a hero in your own life. And every hero's journey begins with a trial. For some, that trial is poverty. For others, loss. For you, maybe it's the narcissist in your family, workplace, or relationship. But the trial is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the dragon you must slay to discover your strength. Joseph Campbell, who studied myths across cultures, said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. The cave of conflict, of saying no, of walking away, that's where you'll find the treasure of freedom, self-respect, and power." Practical boundaries in action. Let's get concrete. What does setting boundaries look like in real life? When a toxic boss gaslights you, stop arguing. Document everything. Speak briefly, factually, and disengage. If they cross the line, escalate through proper channels or plan your exit. In relationships, when a partner twists your words, stop defending. State, "I see it differently." Then refuse to debate further. With family, when relatives disrespect you, limit contact. You don't owe unlimited access to anyone. Blood doesn't excuse abuse. With yourself, stop tolerating your own excuses. Set internal boundaries. I will not betray my goals for comfort. I will not give my power away for validation. Boundaries are an act of love for yourself. The extinction burst. Expect this colon period. When you enforce boundaries, the narcissist will escalate. Psychologists call it an extinction burst. If guilt trips don't work, they'll try rage. If rage doesn't work, they'll play the victim. If that fails, they'll smear you to others. This is where most people cave, because the pressure feels unbearable. But you must hold the line. Consistency breaks the cycle. Remember colon. Their escalation is proof that your boundaries are working. It means they feel their grip slipping. Radical responsibility. Let's return to responsibility. Not blame responsibility. You're not to blame for their pathology, but you are responsible for how long you let it dominate your life. Jordan Peterson says, you have to treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. That's the essence of radical responsibility. You don't wait for someone else to rescue you. You take charge of your healing, your growth, your destiny. Responsibility is not a burden, it's liberation. Because the moment you accept that your life is in your hands, you stop being a pawn in someone else's game. Success despite the storm. History is full of people who succeeded despite toxic environments. Oprah Winfrey grew up in a household marked by abuse and dysfunction. She could have let that define her. Instead, she forged a path of resilience, self-education, and relentless growth. She once said, "Turn your wounds into wisdom." That's the model. Don't deny the wounds. Don't pretend the narcissist didn't hurt you. Acknowledge it. Then use it. Turn it into fuel. Turn it into fire. The future is yours. So where does this all lead? To freedom, to self-mastery, to a future no longer shackled by the moods, manipulations, and distortions of a narcissist. When you stop needing their approval, they lose their power. When you enforce your boundaries, they lose control. When you detach emotionally, they lose their game. And when you redirect your energy toward purpose, growth, and responsibility, you win. Closing call to action. Now I want you to imagine your life 5 years from now. Will you still be caught in the cycle of explaining, defending, seeking approval from someone who will never give it? Or will you be building, creating, thriving, free? The choice is yours. Stop being nice to a narcissist. Stop trying to please them. Stop letting them dictate the terms of your life. Instead, set boundaries. Speak the truth. Build self-esteem. Pursue purpose. Train your mind. Take responsibility. And rise. Because the world doesn't just need you to survive. The world needs you to thrive. The world needs you to become the hero you were meant to be. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Find your why, protect it, pursue it relentlessly. And in doing so, you will not only free yourself from narcissistic control, you will step into the greatness that was always waiting within you.